Snow White, the first Disney princess and their latest live-action victim. Recent discourse and venomous spitting regarding the live-action inspired me to make her my victim as well. One of the greatest crimes of the movie is the dress, which wouldn't be their first. And don't get me wrong, creative liberties sometimes must be taken, but Rachel, you did not deserve this, and neither did we. I'm not here to hate, many did this before me, but if we were to look for, let's say, historically accurate Snow White, we can't rely on the animation either. Disney really didn't want it to flop, so many decisions were made to appeal to the 1937 audience, like the character and costume design. The end result is beautiful, and it was a Kickstarter for one of the most known and best money-making franchises in the world, Disney Princesses. But the original fairy tale is much older, which is what I'm going to reference. I will attempt to take the in out of the historically inaccurate design and sprinkle some of the whimsy here and there. This video has a few chapters, and the first one is the research. In the first part of the research, let's set the time and place. Snow White is a German folktale included in Kinder- und Hausmärchen by Grimm brothers. They're not the authors, they've simply written it down as a part of their own research. So the where would be modern-day Germany. More specifically, Lower Main, which is said to be the home of the real Snow White. The when is hidden in the 1937 costumes. At first, they look positively medieval, but the evil queen's collar and belt, Snow's slashed sleeves and front lacing suggest it's early 16th century. Now for the confusing part. The dwarfs own some very specific pictures which are from Bavaria, but law wasn't part of it until 1814. Should I still go for a Bavarian style dress or Franconian, Saxonian, the first Google image that pops up when I type 16th century German fashion women? Question mark? I mean it when I say research is important, but first and foremost, I am an artist. And I do crimes. So to quote our queen, Lana Del Rey, I had a vision. The evil queen would have a say in every aspect of Snow's life, right? Including the way she dresses. Overall, the queen seems generally unhappy. What if she used to be a noble woman from the north and she missed home? So she hated everything that reminded her of the life she must now endure, fashion being one of its aspects. Or she would want to isolate Snow White from the townspeople, making the princess alone and unable to seek help or support outside the castle. Feels like I'm making excuses for my design choices, but let's set up the priorities first. Chapter 2, the design. So, the color palette is untouchable. I will work with the original design, not erase it. Sometimes sacrifices must be made for the either visual appeal or historical accuracy. Then I listened to the voices and let them guide me. I committed this doodle and liked it at first. The colors are right, the original design is visible, but what is there on her head instead of the red ribbon? Is that a medieval French crispinet drawn from imagination? Yes. I had the audacity to ignore it and move on to the pose, which is inspired by the scene from the animation where Snow White is surrounded by animals and has a sing-off with a bird. You can actually see it in the thumbnail. It's also in the live action and on the poster. So the bird had to be included, of course, and then it struck me. This is Renaissance. I must become a woman of Renaissance. So not only did I paint Snow White, but I also composed a short piece of music in LMMS with SpitFire Studio and animated the bluebird. I may be a jack of all crafts and master of none, but at least I got the animated painting with music done. Back to the Clip Studio Paint. One of the benefits of a fun project is that I can smuggle art study into it. Not only will I be able to practice animation, but also fabric folds, foliage, still drawing, animals. I recommend inserting some guilty pleasure into studies to make them more enjoyable. It could be original characters. For me, it's also elaborate frames, circles. Characters I like, or everything everywhere all at once, instead of turning this illustration into a poster though, which I would definitely do. I think the source material created a perfect opportunity for a book illustration for an opening page. Text swirling around the illustration, blurred edges, colored pencil like rendering, something like that. A proper first page of a chapter requires a border, so I painted one inspired by Bavarian embroidery, but with snowbells. In the concept art I gave her a basket, so I also copied that. Why the basket, you may ask? She wouldn't pick apples in the middle of a forest after a traumatizing experience. She's not a peasant. She isn't. However, since I limited myself to just this one illustration, I did it for the sake of foreshadowing and symbolism. On a serious note, though, I feel like apples aren't a symbol of death in her story, but life, perseverance. Snow White doesn't hate apples. She makes apple pie when the dwarves are gone. The queen used something the princess loves to make sure she eats it and dies, but she survived. The apples are her strength, not weakness. Her inaccurate hair hurt me. So to free myself from the burden of decision making, I asked you on Instagram whether the hair is okay or not. And almost 200 people saw it. That was insane. Almost as insane as the final results of the poll. That undecided, they won't decide. So I painted on the cap and posted both versions. I fixed some details like the way the red fabric stuck out of the sleeves or how inaccurate the skirt was. The fabric would lay differently on top of 16th century undergarments, but all I had as a pose reference was me on the floor wearing a jacquard dress or jacquard dress. Jesus, the animation, or more like animating, because Lord was that a process. It took me 2 days, morning, noon and night, including all the tutorials I watched. And what's the plan? Initially, I planned for a blue bird, like the one from With Smile and a Song, to fly across the canvas and land on Snow's hand. But if I got anything from the tutorials, it'd be one word: anticipation. So before the landing, I wanted the bird to take off from a tree, a second row. I put my newly acquired knowledge of Clip Studio Paint's keyframes to use, made the reveal of the illustration, then moved to the actual sequence I imagined. Made a rough sketch to figure out the movement, then the line art, and finally color. I changed my Clip Studio Paint subscription from Pro to X this year. It means the limit of 24 frames per project doesn't apply anymore. All that is left is an 18-second long piece of music. Fun fact about me: I don't play any instrument. I played guitar for 2 years in 4th grade, but that's it. All I have is my laptop and a program. The laptop allows me to play 2 octaves on the keys. The rest I must copy and paste. So first I made my own arrangement of one song, realized the copyright is still valid for the next 12 years, and watched Maxton Hall. I'm still waiting for the 2nd season, by the way. After the break, I came back stronger, made something of my own, and imported it into Clip Studio Paint. And this is the final result. By the way, just a quick note: if you are seeing this video for the 2nd time, that's because I posted it on my other channel, vicaruss, but I decided to separate my content into long form and short form, and this one is for long form. So I'll also post about my original characters. I'm all about character design. I'm also changing the avatar from the witchy one to this. It's more expressive and easier to edit if I need to add any more expressions. So that's why. Leave any character suggestions in the comments. I'm already working on Belle, so if you want to see that, I will post the first part after this video. So I'll see you there. Bye!